We did everything right. We read the books. We went to therapy. We said the words we were too afraid to say for years. We cried. We journaled. We even forgave the people who never apologized. And now, it's quiet. The storms that used to live inside us have faded. The sharp edges have softened. We can function again, smile again, even laugh again. But somewhere beneath the surface, there's a strange feeling we can't explain. It's not pain, it's not depression, it's not anxiety, it's emptiness. A kind of silence that feels less like peace and more like absence, as if something essential is missing, like we're here, breathing, living, but not really alive. And it doesn't make sense, because the trauma is gone, the crisis is over, so why does it still feel like something is broken? Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. He warned us, healing isn't the same as wholeness. The illusion of completion. Most people treat healing like a finish line. Once the panic attacks stop, once we can go a day without thinking about them, once we stop crying in public or needing to explain ourselves, we're better, we survived, we made it. And we tell ourselves we should feel proud, grateful, whole, but many of us don't, because while the wounds have closed, we never stopped to ask, who did I become just to survive? And who was I before the pain rewrote me? We confuse healing with returning to normal, but what if normal was always a mask? What if the person we used to be wasn't real, just functional? Carl Jung would call that version of us the persona. The face we wear to meet the world. It's necessary, but it's not us. And when the pain finally subsides, what remains isn't clarity, it's confusion. Because we've peeled away the layers of trauma, but underneath them, we find a stranger. The hidden wound. Here's the truth we rarely admit. Sometimes, healing doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like losing what little identity we had. Because for so long, pain was the compass, survival was the story. Our trauma made us feel like we had purpose, even if that purpose was just enduring it. But once the fight is over, who are we? This is the part most people never talk about, the hidden wound beneath the visible ones. It's the part that therapy can't fix. Not because therapy is broken, but because healing from trauma isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of something deeper, something Jung called the journey toward individuation, the process of becoming whole. And that journey begins with the emptiness. Not broken, just beginning. So if you're feeling this silence, this numbness, you're not broken, you're not backsliding, you're not failing, you're waking up to a deeper layer of truth. Carl Jung believed that most suffering after healing comes not from the pain we experienced, but from the parts of ourselves we abandoned just to survive it. The creativity we buried, the anger we suppressed, the confidence we traded for safety, the boundaries we erased to be loved. These aren't just missing traits, they're parts of our soul. Healing cleared the space. But the self, the full version of who we are, hasn't stepped in yet. That's what the emptiness is. Not failure, not regression, but a signal that the real journey has just begun. The shadow isn't gone, it's waiting. The emptiness we feel after healing isn't random, it's not weakness, it's not failure, it's the shadow calling us home. Carl Jung believed that the human psyche isn't just made of light, it's made of everything we've lived and everything we've rejected. The shadow isn't evil. It's not just rage, jealousy, shame. It's the truth we couldn't afford to keep, the confidence we buried to stay small, the voice we silenced to avoid conflict, the dreams we gave up to be realistic, the parts of us that had to die just so we could survive. Trauma doesn't just wound us, it edits us. It tells us, this part of you, too much. That feeling, too dangerous. That dream, too painful. And so we shrink, we adapt. We abandon pieces of who we were becoming, and when the healing begins, when the pain starts to lift, those pieces don't disappear. They start to return, and we don't recognize them. The return of what was buried. Imagine building a house over a basement you've never entered. It's sealed off, silent, ignored, but it's still there. And eventually it starts to creak. You hear movement, feel weight, not because it's broken, but because it wants to be seen. That's the shadow. It doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to be integrated. Carl Jung wrote, When you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is why so many people feel lost after healing, because they've repaired the top floors, but the foundation is still untouched, unknown, and deeply alive. The emptiness is that knock from below. And it's not asking you to fix anything, it's asking you to remember. Why emptiness feels so heavy. Most people think of emptiness as a void, but it's not hollow, it's full of unlived stories, unspoken rage, unfelt joy, unclaimed power. And when we don't know how to listen to it, it starts to weigh us down. We say we're tired, we say we're off, we say I don't know who I am anymore. But what we really mean is, there's a part of me I've never met, and it's getting louder. This is the moment Jung was pointing to, not when the pain ends, but when the real work begins. Not survival, not performance, but integration. The invitation hidden in emptiness. Carl Jung never promised that healing would make life feel light. He believed the real transformation happens when we're willing to carry what we once buried, to reclaim the parts of ourselves we were taught to fear, to look into the darkness and say, I know you, you belong. The shadow isn't your enemy, it's your exiled self. And the reason healing often ends in emptiness is because that self is still waiting to come home. You're not depressed, you're disconnected. We need to say something that most people never hear, especially after they've healed. You're not broken, you're not crazy, and no, you're not slipping back into depression. You're just disconnected. And that disconnection feels exactly like numbness, like walking through your own life in third person, like smiling while your soul feels somewhere else. And here's what makes it worse, you can't even explain it to people, because from the outside you look fine. You're not crying all the time, you're not falling apart, you're not self-destructing. In fact, you're doing everything right, but deep inside, there's a quiet ache, a sense that something important is missing. But you don't know what. Carl Jung saw this all the time. He believed that people often confuse emotional disconnection with mental illness. They treat it like something to be fixed, but it's not a disorder, it's a message. A sign that something real inside you is trying to speak and you've just forgotten the language. Why we can't feel ourselves. After trauma, we spend so much time learning how to manage our emotions that we never learn how to actually feel like ourselves. We become experts at coping, at functioning, at controlling the chaos. But what we never learn is how to reconnect. Because reconnection isn't about routines, or positive thinking, or doing more. It's about remembering who we were before the world told us who to be. And that kind of remembering doesn't come easily. Especially when the you that's emerging doesn't fit the roles you've played your whole life, the caregiver, the strong one, the overachiever, the people pleaser. When those masks start to fall, what's left? Silence, stillness, a kind of internal emptiness that feels both terrifying and sacred. The soul's quiet signal. Carl Jung believed that this kind of emptiness isn't a problem to solve, it's the soul's way of calling us back. He wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And that's what this is. Not a relapse, not depression, but the beginning of a deeper awakening. An invitation to stop performing and start becoming. Because when we are no longer defined by our pain, we are forced to ask, what do I actually want? Who am I now? And what would it mean to build a life from wholeness, not survival? These are terrifying questions, because no one can answer them for us. But they are also the right questions, the necessary ones, because they lead us away from numbness and toward truth. You're not alone in this. If you've healed but still feel empty, you are not alone. Millions of people feel this exact thing, but almost no one talks about it, because it's hard to admit, hard to explain, hard to make sense of. But Carl Jung understood. The self isn't something we find by chance, it's something we create, through courage, through suffering, through truth. And the fact that you're feeling this emptiness now means you're ready to move beyond healing and toward wholeness. The journey of individuation. So where do we go from here? We've healed, we've survived, we're not in crisis anymore, and yet we're still searching. This is the moment Jung described not as a breakdown, but as a breakthrough. not the end of healing, but the beginning of individuation, the journey of becoming your whole self. Because the goal was never just to feel better, it was to become real. What is individuation? Individuation is the process of becoming who you truly are, not who the world trained you to be. It's not about perfection, it's about integration. Bringing together every lost, rejected, and hidden part of you and owning it. Carl Jung believed that wholeness doesn't come from light alone. It comes from facing our darkness without shame, from embracing our contradictions, from stepping into the person we were always meant to be. And yes, it's hard. Because most of us were raised to be likable, not authentic, to be safe, not whole. But healing got us ready. Now, the real work begins. Step 1. Confront the shadow. The first step is to meet your shadow, not with judgment, but with curiosity. The shadow holds the traits we've rejected, the anger we weren't allowed to feel, the confidence we were punished for, the boundaries we were told were selfish. Most people fear their shadow because they confuse it with being bad. But Carl Jung knew. The shadow is 90% pure gold. Inside that darkness is your lost power. And when you stop running from it, you can begin to reclaim your strength, piece by piece. Start small. Notice your triggers. Ask yourself, what part of me is trying to speak here? And instead of silencing it, listen. Step 2. Integrate the opposites, anima/animus. Carl Jung taught that every soul contains opposites, masculine and feminine, logic and emotion, strength and sensitivity. But trauma often forces us to over-identify with just one side. We become the strong one or the helper and disconnect from everything else. To become whole, we must reintegrate what we've disowned. If you've rejected softness, start practicing gentleness. If you've silenced assertiveness, start saying what you need. It won't feel natural at first. It may even feel wrong, but it's not wrong. It's restoration. Step 3. Dissolve the persona. The persona is the mask we wear to survive, the role we play to be accepted, and often that role is why we feel empty. Because we've outgrown it, but we don't know what's underneath. This step is about slowly, bravely letting the mask fall. Choosing truth over performance. Saying what we actually feel. Setting boundaries. Telling people no. And most importantly, sitting with the discomfort that comes when we stop trying to be who we're supposed to be. That discomfort isn't failure, it's freedom. Step 4. Awaken the self. This is where everything changes, because beneath the trauma, beneath the mask, beneath the pain, there is a deeper you, not the version shaped by fear, but the one shaped by truth. Carl Jung called this the self, the integrated, fully alive soul. You've met parts of it before, in fleeting moments of clarity, in deep conversations, in creativity, in solitude. In those rare moments where you felt fully present and knew, this is who I really am. The journey of individuation is how you get back there. Not just once, but for good. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And you're already on the path. Next up is the final part of the video. The emptiness is the invitation. You don't need to panic just because it feels quiet inside. The silence you're feeling now, it's not a warning, it's a threshold. Is what you're calling emptiness. Carl Jung called the call of the self. It shows up not with fireworks, but with discomfort, a strange stillness that unsettles us, like standing in a room that's been cleared for something new, but we're not sure what's coming next. We try to fill it with work, with goals, with distractions, but none of it sticks. Because this isn't a space to fill, it's a space to enter. A space meant for you to meet yourself, finally, without the noise. Letting go of the old you. You've outgrown who you had to be. The version of you that survived is strong, but they were never meant to carry your future. That identity was forged in fire, but the fire is out now. And the question becomes, what are you going to build in the ashes? This isn't about fixing yourself anymore. It's about building from truth instead of fear. What comes next? From here forward, the work changes. It's not about protecting wounds, it's about discovering what wholeness looks like in your life. That means saying no when it's easier to say yes, pursuing what feels meaningful even if it's terrifying, reclaiming your voice, not the polite version but the honest one, being in your own presence without needing to escape it. This isn't the healing most people talk about. It's deeper, quieter, more honest, and it's yours now. Carl Jung's final gift. Carl Jung didn't promise that this journey would feel good. He only promised it would feel real. And that's the point. The world told us to chase happiness, but Carl Jung told us to chase wholeness. Because when we are whole, we no longer feel empty. Even in silence, even in solitude, we feel present, awake, alive. You're already on the path. You don't need to have all the answers today. You don't need a 5-step plan. You just need to stay with this moment, to feel the quiet, to listen, and to trust that the part of you who's waking up knows exactly where to go next. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Welcome back to yourself. If this spoke to something you felt but couldn't name, let us know in the comments. Then if you want more truths like this, subscribe. We go deeper every week.